So I have a bit of an interesting problem. It's a good problem, but here's the problem. I've forever wanted a Gen 1 Camaro. And, well, I found one. And I got exactly what I wanted because it's just a rolling chassis. No engine, no transmission, basically no interior to speak of. And the reason I want that is that what I really want to do is put an LS3 engine with a TR6060 six-speed transmission into a Gen 1 Camaro. Well, I had this brilliant idea that instead of buying an engine, either new crate engine or even an engine out of a salvage car off of eBay, that I would just go find a Gen 5 Camaro, manual transmission with the LS3 in it, and use that engine, transmission, use the radiator, use the interior to the extent that I can, and put all of that into the Gen 1 Camaro. So the good news is I found one. Long story short, I bought it. I bid way below the reserve, but the seller ended up accepting my bid at the last minute, and so I ended up getting this car. Well, I saw the car for the first time when I went to pick it up. Front end loader grabbed it, dropped it on my trailer, and I got a good look at it, and it's just not bad. Well, I just got back from the salvage yard. The guys come out with these giant forklifts on articulated front end loaders and basically drop the car onto the trailer. I strap her down and drive away. So I really haven't evaluated the car to see what I have. And I didn't even see it ever until just about a few minutes ago. Bought it sight unseen, which is kind of the way those salvage auctions work. So look, I'm really, really excited about it. All I really care about is the driveline and to some extent the interior. I think the seats will be helpful and usable. I think there are a few other odds and ends that might also come into play, but the key is the drivetrain. That's what I really want out of it. And for the price I paid, if all I get is the drivetrain, I'm doing just fine. So the car's fairly low miles. It's 40 some odd thousand miles, which is just enough to break in an LS3 as far as I'm concerned. Assuming it runs well or runs at all, the idea would be to pull it out, probably do a little work to it, take it apart, see what's in there. Maybe a new cam, some exhaust headers. Doesn't need much. Those are just fantastic motors. And it's the manual, so it's not the L99, it is the LS3. And it's got the TR6060 six-speed manual transmission in it, which I think will be really good in a swap. This is a 2013 SS2 or 2SS, so it should have all the goodies. Let's go see what we got. That right there, I don't know, I think that happens when they move it around because the front of the car bumps up against the rubber tire they have on the forklift. It's, surprisingly clean on this side. Rear tires are completely shot. I suspect he's probably been roasting those a little bit. The front ones look pretty good. Lots of miles left on those. All the way around here until this is where the salvage side comes into play. It looks like it, I don't know, bounced off of a telephone pole or something. I don't know. And this right through here is completely destroyed. Most of it's in the rear bumper, but this quarter panel's also messed up. I don't know if there's any sense in trying to repair that or if a guy just goes and cuts out another quarter panel from a junkyard. Probably. This would be a clean line right through here if we wanted to redo that. This wheel is off kilter, so I don't know if that's a bent control arm. Hopefully it's not a bent frame. I don't think so. The control arms usually give before the frame does. Not that it matters too much because it's really just a donor, but I would like to be able to run it for a while just to see how that motor behaves. Yeah, this down through here probably just needs to be maybe cut out, get a piece from a salvage yard if we're going to try to make that work. This right here might be repairable, and then these fenders, this is an easy piece to replace. Bumper, that'll buff right out. In fact, we'll just get the buffer out and do the whole thing. Who needs metal? We'll just buff it out. Inside is, gosh, it's just clean in there. Pretty happy with the way that looks, and the seats are just shy of immaculate, which I think is highly conducive to a swap. So we got to see what it takes to get this thing off the trailer. My guess is that it's got a dead battery, but let's see. So it's got this old style key. If we just put that bad boy in there and turn it, yeah, there's no power. So let's see if we can figure out a way to get some power to it, huh? Hey, dang, that's looking pretty clean. I'm happy. That battery right there, you know what I guess that's the battery. How do I get in there? Oh, is the battery out back? The battery's out back. Ah, well, let's put a jumper on that right there and see if it powers up. Now we got power. We got the little jumper up there. Of course, the jumper is smart. It thinks it's smart, which means that it won't give any voltage until it senses at least a little bit of voltage. But I can hear the car beeping now. Carrying on. Should we see if it'll turn over? Not too shabby. All right. Let's see if we can get this thing out of here. Not too bad, right? What do you think, daily driver? Well, everything went pretty well, but I left behind me a pool of oil. And at first I was a little bit freaked out that it might be engine oil. Which means, and since it only lost oil while it was running, it means that if it is engine oil, we might not be getting oil to the top of the engine. Well, turns out that it is not engine oil. It's transmission fluid. I actually don't know what kind of transmission fluid this car runs, which is why it becomes a little difficult to identify what it is. But look at that line right there. It's transmission cooler line. I don't know if that's the feed of the return. It doesn't really matter. Point is, there's a big gaping hole in that bad boy. And so we need to deal with that before I start the engine again. And then we'll need to check the fluid level in that transmission. So I need to go get it looks like a 3/8 compression coupler. And then if I chop that, put the compression coupler on there, we should be good to go. So I don't have to replace the whole line. That guy could, but I don't see any reason to. Here's how this is going to work. I chop the line just enough to get the compression fitting on there. You can see that side's there. This is the compression fitting that will go in there. So this end will go on that side of it. Tighten the whole thing together, and theoretically that'll fix the deal. That's about a $4 part. That should do it. We'll go turn the key and see if it leaks anymore. And no more leak. Yay! One down. I had to put some tires on because the rears were poking radial belts everywhere. They were beyond slicks. And then I had to fix this wheel because it was all off kilter. The control arm linkage was bent, and I could have replaced it, but it straightened out really easily on the press. And so I straightened that out and put it back together. And the car tracks and drives beautifully. I'm not gonna lie, this car's a hoot. Like, I don't know, it's a lot of fun. Sounds great. So anyway, the car is generally in good shape, and aside from maybe a little, I don't know, buff out the bodywork kind of a problem, it's good to go. Well, look at this. You see something interesting about the hood? I came into this feeling like maybe the sun had faded the hood, or maybe it had been replaced with a faded hood, or I don't know what. But if you look a little more closely, you'll notice right here where it's been disrupted, that's not paint. That's wrap. So why is the hood wrapped? Okay, now, those of you who know Camaros, and the 5th gen in particular, may be picking up on what I'm putting down already. I did not. I'm a Camaro neophyte. So let me show you a few more things. Like I said, the interior is pretty much new. It's immaculate. When I first looked at the steering wheel, I thought, dang, that leather looks like it's a little sun damaged as well. Nope, that's not leather. That's a suede steering wheel. Same thing applies for the shift knob right here. And a couple other key interior points. It's got the heads-up display right there. And what else was relevant in here? Don't remember. Okay? So, interior is great, and it seems to have a couple of little bonus items. Understood? This is a 1LE package. The 2SS 1LE comes with different wheels. We've got 11-inch wide on the rear, 10-inch wide on the front, 20-inch diameter. The Z28 suspension, the suede steering wheel and shifter, the special, unique, whatever we want to call it, matte black spoiler, the wrap on the hood. This is absolutely a wrap, and it is that way from the factory on the 1LE. So not only is this car the 2SS, it's also the 1LE. Sounds great. It's got, because of that 1LE package, it's got the 3.9 gear in the rear, which means that it's something else off the line. You decide to get on it and it just goes. And if you turn off the traction control, you gotta be ready. It may not be pointed straight forward for very long. Yeah, I don't know. This car's a lot of fun. I'm surprised by it. I've always quite liked the Gen 5. I think the Gen 6 is gorgeous as well, but never really spent time in one, and especially not one that's peppy and has the exhaust note that this car has. Gosh, what a riot. It's only got 45,000 miles on it, and I don't know what engine work has been done to it, but it is clear that there is a set of aftermarket exhaust headers on here. I don't know, I can't identify them positively, but they look hooker to me. So we've got that, and the exhaust from there on out is clearly modified as well with what appears to be Borla mufflers and an X-pipe. And the sound, the sound is just about enough to make me wet myself, which would sound great in a 68 Camaro as well. So let's see if we can capture that in here. I don't know. Right? I don't know how well you can hear that, but that blows my skirt up. It's amazing. It's gorgeous. It's clean. It's new. It runs like a top. And, well, therein lies the problem. I honestly don't know if I have the heart to tear this thing to pieces. I would love to take as much of this car and put it into a Gen 1. I really would. But this car's... Here's the way I look at it. The Gen 5 is a great car, and the LS3 motor is top-notch. But I don't know that I would consider the Gen 5 Camaro to be all that unique. a Gen 1 Camaro with a bunch of Gen 5 componentry in it, including that LS3 and the 6-speed manual transmission. I don't know, that's pretty unique. That's pretty special. It stands out. So that means something to me. All of a sudden, this car has become a little bit unique. The 1LE package makes it a little bit unique. And knowing that I'll be putting some time and effort into repairing this one, almost the same way that you would when you're building out the sheet metal on a Gen 1, means that it'll have a little bit of me in it. So here I have a car that's arguably at least somewhat unique. It's tight, it's clean, and at this point all it's got is some body damage on the passenger side. What do? Do I have the heart to tear this apart? I don't think so, but here's the plan. What I'm going to do is get the car in a state where it's road legal. Front fender, admittedly aftermarket, 75 bucks. The Camaro badging, 15 bucks for the pair, front, both sides, which by the way gives me the option to either go chrome or black. Haven't decided. This door, I think this is salvageable. A little work down through here, I think I can clean that one up. So probably retain the door panel. This rear quarter panel, the whole thing just needs to be cut out and replaced. I found a replacement at the salvage yard. That's $375. And this rear bumper, also relatively easy to replace. That's $175 off of Summit. Tail lights, 25 bucks a piece. I mean, you get the idea here. For less than $1,000 on top of what I've paid for it, I think that car is quite presentable. And speaking of presentable, look, I had a visitor. Santa Claus has been here today. Looks like I missed him. But that right there looks to me like maybe a rear bumper. Let's go see. Well, sure enough, that's the real deal. It's exactly what we needed. Comes in a primer, painted like an EDP. But it's all there. You can see how assembly would work. A little bit of, a quick coat of paint on that sucker and you'd be in the races. Here's the plan. What I'm going to do is get the car in a state where it's road legal and license and register it. That'll give me a year to drive it around and play with it, which time I probably need to get just the chassis and the metal work done on the Gen 1 car. And at the end of the year, I guess I can decide. I got three options. Plan A, you tear this car apart and use it to build out the Gen 1. Plan B, you keep this car, drive it, and find a different drivetrain for the Gen 1. Or Plan C, you sell this car and use the proceeds to fund the build out of the Resto Mod Gen 1. I don't know, but it gives us some time.